method of procuring power purchase agreement is what we call feed-in tariffs. And feed-in tariffs, we believe, have been abused. It's a one-man show where you go and gazette, even without public participation. The last feed-in tariff that was gazetted, there was not even involvement of the Energy Committee, for instance. We can't tell which Kenyans were involved. And then you find that a tariff has been gazetted, and the question is, could the tariffs have gone lower? Could the tariffs have gone lower? If you look at what happened in 2012, a tariff was gazetted for wind, for instance, and that tariff was 12 US cents per kilowatt hour. After some time, Lake Turkana signed, that is for wind, Lake Turkana signed a PPA that gave them 16 US cents per kilowatt hour, which was way above actually the gazetted tariff, indicative tariff. Today, just a few years down the line, the gazetted tariff for wind is 5.8, telling us that if we were a bit careful, then we could have saved 3 times by just trying to project ahead and see also if it is a cost of equipment that is going down. We should also be able in a position to interrogate further, and therefore there are so many deals that have been signed that we think are skewed, and that is the reason why the moratorium was placed in the first place. And as a committee, we are saying that we will lift, but with so many conditions, and because we also understand that we need energy security, but the energy security can also not come at the cost of energy cost in itself. We are driving away so many manufacturers out of this country because cost of electricity has become exceedingly expensive. We want to go to a tariff structure that allows us to auction for competition, to allow people compete. And if, for instance, you say hydro is 8 shillings, who says it cannot go below 8 shillings? If you give people to compete and allow them to say, this is the best I can do. And that is what has been lacking, gazettement of tariffs, and this then that are known to be good, and then the people procured to take up these PPAs are known people because of interests. I find that for the same technology, that some of the deals given to investors are better than others. And I want to give you an example in the geothermal energy. There are people who have been given twice as good deal as others. You find somebody given 12 US cents per kilowatt hour, others are given 5. And for the same technology, then you ask yourself, what is it that transpired for Kenyans to pay more from one person and pay less from the other person? It tells you basically it's just a matter of interest, and these are the interests that we are looking at to see how we can be able to address that and have a more transparent, competitive way of procuring power purchase agreement. The current method of procuring power purchase agreement is what we call feed-in tariffs, and feed-in tariffs, we believe, have been abused. It's a one-man show where you go and gazette, even without public participation. The last feed-in tariff that was gazetted, there was not even involvement of the Energy Committee, for instance. We can't tell which Kenyans were involved. And then you find that a tariff has been gazetted, and the question is, could the tariffs have gone lower?
This came up, for example, the issue of power and energy, that we need to do something about it. The cost of doing business in Kenya, we need to bring down the cost of doing business in Kenya, and how to show up, investment in the country, so that people can create jobs, they get jobs in the industry, and also to spur economic growth for the country. The private sector is a key player, and we cannot run away from them, and therefore we have to work in collaboration and together so that we can help this country. Minister for the CS for Energy was here with his whole team, convincing Parliament that we need to remove the moratorium on IPPs, the Independent Power Purchase Agreements. But then there are certain things that we must study first as Parliament. We just can't remove it just because they've asked us to do. It is important. It's actually good leadership to remove them. But when we remove them, how do we actually create a problem? They have created a problem. Actually, why we have high power costs in this country is because of the IPAs that we have, the Independent Power Purchase Agreements that we have. And because of that, we have to be very careful as Parliament to ensure that we do the right things. And I want to assure Kenyans that we are going to remove the moratorium, but with conditions, with very stringent conditions. And we are waiting for the report to be brought in Parliament soon. When we have it, a report that assesses the IPP that we have, and then we'll move a motion to remove the moratorium. But more importantly, we must know a lot of more details. And who are the people behind these IPAs? You know, we can remove the moratorium, but then people from government, from private sector corrupt their way into it and then drive the cost of power up again.
So in this meeting where KEPSA and government are able to sit down to see how can we make our economy better, and us representing a city industry, we thought it will be even better now we start even exporting technology from Kenya. They say Kenya is known because of technology, and through this we can increase our GDP, we can even be able to increase the revenue that we get, and this kind of partnership is really doing a great job unto us. During the meeting we realized some of the people were commenting on how we can be able to collaborate so that people do not work in silos. We have very many kind of graduates in Kenya who have a lot of knowledge. So what is it that can be done to ensure that the various technology that we have in Kenya are embraced, in government invest in them as much as possible and even fund them so that we can be able to produce much.
Forefront towards enacting legislation that not only enhances the competitiveness of our great nation, but also tackles head-on the issues affecting our economy. One of the key catalysts for the economic advancement of any country is good governance. To this end, in the effort towards enhancing good governance, the House is currently considering the Whistleblower Protection Bill 2023, which primarily seeks to set out the procedures for the disclosure of information on improper conduct within the public and private sectors and to provide for the protection of the people making such disclosures. Additionally, there are various legislative proposals and bills which seek to enhance the competitiveness of our country in the agricultural, health, education, energy, transport, finance, insurance, ICT, and other key economic sectors that are before the committees of the National Assembly for consideration. I have no doubt that the chairpersons and vice chairpersons of the committees will aptly expound on and delve into their committee's legislative interventions aligned with Roundtable's theme of today. Because Kenyan consumers are ready to pay more for better products from elsewhere than pay less for inferior products made by ourselves. So also keep to international standards. With the global village now, it's very easy for you to compare what you are manufacturing with what is being manufactured in Taiwan, in Malaysia, and so on and so forth. Because Kenyans have a very soft spot for anything imported. Where did we take the wrong turn as a country? Because we keep meeting, we keep talking, we keep lamenting, we keep taking each other to court on virtually everything. When Odero Joey convinced the UN to establish Nairobi as the only UN headquarters in the third world, in Gigiri, Kenyans went to court to block it. When Tom Mboya mooted the construction of KICC as a premier center for conferencing in the region, Kenyans went to court to block it. When JKIA was mooted to be constructed to replace Embakasi Airport, Kenyans went to court to block it. When the expressway was mooted, I was one of those who spoke vehemently against it.